Welcome, Lior, Eddie, Ben, and Lucci. Today we are talking about team identity. What does that even mean? Who are we as a team? Who are we as a team? So I'm going to throw it to the group here because I don't know if I have experience in this area. I'm curious to see what everyone has to say about this.
I can kick us off, and I think it's similar to other conversations we might have had in the past, or at least referenced. And it's this idea of should it, at least one example of it is, should a team name be functional, or should it be representative of the team and what they want to express? Now, maybe that team wants to express their functional case, and in which case they might call themselves the database team or whatever it might be. But some teams want to express something different about themselves. So, is it important that a team is allowed to choose their identity? And should we encourage an identity that is separate from their functional ability? Because you could argue that by just pigeonholing a team, and this is quite common, the database team or the X feature team or whatever it might be, it really can constrain what they feel like they can go after, and it can be a convenient excuse, like, oh, that's not my team name, I don't do that, so I don't go after it. So, like, I don't know, like, does anyone else see that behavior? Have you worked with many teams? I would say I've worked with like 10 or 20% of my teams have ever had names other than functional names. But has anyone else got any experience with that?
I've seen teams kind of move themselves along the scale of how good they are in a weird way. I've heard in organizations there'd be talk of, this is the team that's these guys are the best. You know what I mean? Everyone on this team works really hard, or, oh, us as a team, we just kind of get through it. We're not trying to make any waves, right? And I've seen that be really detrimental, right? So I would like to hear if any of you guys have experienced this kind of, the damaging side of, we're the really good team or we're the really bad team. Does the really good team work on Sundays? This kind of thing, right? And then the other one I was just thinking of, that when you open the topic, I know that taking ownership of the work that the team does is really important, right? So having each individual team member be empowered to take ownership of his work, plan his own workout, be proud of his own accomplishments, this kind of thing. Is it possible for a team to really own their work and like own their sprints and own their active sprints in a sense, without owning their own identity as a team? Do those two things link together?
I think they help each other, but I think you're talking about accountability and ownership, and those are two separate things. Taking ownership will increase a person's tendency to be accountable, I think, but you can have one without the other in both directions.
I think if you're accountable to each other, the work becomes more meaningful or maybe more creative. Like, at least I've seen teams where they knew what their work was, but they were also accountable to each other. And the way that they worked is just different from the way that I see teams who are more, they get their work done, but they don't have that camaraderie. They don't have that accountability to each other. And I find that the team that does feel accountable to each other, they're more creative and they're able to, I'll say, they do more than probably what's expected, just because because they have that language together.
I think that, to your point, Lena, it is important to have this Holonic point of view of each team. I think everybody needs to do that effort to be conscious about this Holonic point of view. And even though each team may have its own identity, I relate identity, I don't know if I'm correct, but also towards values and purpose. Again, always purpose is like central, but purpose, values, those things that they have in common that make them feel like they are a team and that they work together. And at the same time that they have this view that and conscious about, okay, what we do has an impact on other teams, on other parts of the organization, and we need to be aware. And how can we work in a way that we also benefit the rest of the organization? Because maybe this tendency to have our own identity, we don't want that to lead to silos. No, that's what we don't want. We want each team to flourish, to have this way of working that maybe it's different to other teams, this synergy. and at the same time that they contribute to the overall of the Holon.
I like the way you put that, Lucci, because when we talk about team identity, we're kind of talking about the creation of the team as a whole, right? And that's what we're looking for. When we talk about like the lower left quadrant of the individual, right? You've got the individual in the upper left and everything that they're feeling. And then on the lower left, it's their relationship with the team. When you go up from the individual to the team level, holonically, then the team identity is the upper left. It's, do we feel a sense of what we are? And I think that's what a lot of coaches are trying to get at, right? To turn a team from a group of individuals into something that coalesces into a holon. A group of individuals milling about a room isn't a holon, but a group of individuals joined together is.
It's also it's nice you can bring in the quadrants as well by understanding how to get, how to take these group of individuals and form them into a team in a holonic sense. Like you need to be a team in each quadrant, and that's something that's missed a lot, I guess, right? People think that being a team is only a lower right affair, right, of putting people in the brackets, but understanding that you have to put it in all 4 quadrants to be able to be a team, in a complete way.
And I think, Lucci, I think what you described is I think a lot of people would term tribalism. So where they probably overemphasize an identity or only concentrate on an identity at one level. And you think about the levels, like when we're a team member, we don't forego our individual identity because we're a member of a team. We're still Ben, and then I'm still member of the YouTube content creators. And then at the same time, I'm still part of another level above that. They are all identities that can sit next to each other in my mind, in my personality, in my expression. It's not one or the other. So when I'm forming a team and I have an identity around that, and I go the level above, it doesn't mean that now a group of teams should give up their team identity any more than they should not or refuse to find a group of team identity. So these things should, we should be able to hold them as our identity alongside each other, at all times.
I'm curious, is there anything else to be considered with team identity? Because Ben, we started off talking about the name of a team. Now we're talking about like how we relate to other teams. Is there anything else to think about when we're thinking identity of team?
Well, and I think I think Eddie brought up another one, which is kind of like the a bit more less explicit, but like we're the high performing team, or we're the bad boys of the group, or like we're the whatever, like the personality, but also the physical expression. It's a bit different with a lot of people spread out, but like team areas and how teams arrange their desks and kind of decorate their desks, and like we're the Avengers, and they would have groups of the Avengers toy models, and they would put them all on their desks, and that was like a physical expression of their Avengers team. And it was very clear when you walked into a room, this bank of desks, even if they weren't all connected to each other, you could see where the Avengers ended and the next team started. So it's much bigger than just a name. It's any way that team is going to express themselves, I guess visually as well.
Yeah, I'll never forget the first time I heard the term teams being used in the workplace, and it like stuck with me as like, wow, that's so cool. They're a team. They're working on a goal. There's this like idea of cohesion, and I think we've lost that along the way somewhere, and with the way we approach our work, and I see it lost. But I remember when I first saw it, I just remember thinking how cool it was that there's this team of people working on the same goal, and they met every day, and it felt like something kind of exciting and kind of gamified work a bit. And I think that's something that we can definitely bring back or help people see in terms of when they're thinking of forming a team. What is the purpose of this team? What are we working on, and what's our identity? Any last thoughts before we wrap?
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate again, sorry, with exactly what you said just now, that we've lost this idea of a team. I think it is really, really important to remember that to be a team, you have to be a team in each quadrant. And it's become so easy, like in so many other things, to just see a team as a lower right affair, which is the structures and the processes. We give these guys daily meetings, we call them a team, we put them in confluence as a team, we label them as a team, and not understanding that if you want to make a group of people of teams, whether it's, you know, a culture that's through coming around a goal, right, to kind of coalesce on this kind of vision in a cultural sense, or in the individual beliefs of the individuals, or up in the top right in the behaviors, if people aren't acting as a team, even if they have, you know, the structures of a team, if they're not acting as team members, asking each other for help, then they're not a team. And that's a really important thing to keep in mind.
And on that point, just to round us out, does anyone have any book recommendations around what's a team and what's not a team?
I would certainly call Five Dysfunctions required reading for a coach.
Yeah.
The author for Five Dysfunctions of a Team is Patrick Lencioni.
With that, because we are at time, we promise that we will put the link to Five Dysfunctions of a Team in the link below, along with the other videos that we have explaining what are holons, if it's the first time you've heard that word, what are quadrants, might be the first time you're hearing that as well. So we'll put links to those videos in the comments below, in our section down below there, over there. So let us know in the comments if you've had experience with forming a team. And also, I'd really love to know what's the craziest name you've heard of for a team at your workplace or otherwise. And with that, we are all out of ideas for today. So yeah, reach out to us and let us know what you think.